Hey guys, AngryBirds 2017 here, and today we're going to show you how usable is Windows 7 in 2019. Now, Windows 7 was released to the public in late 2009 as a final build, but its Build 7000 public beta was released way back in January of 2009, early January during CES 2009. So, yeah, basically, Windows 7 is now a 10-year-old operating system. Now, of course, this operating system is close to being unsupported, and because of that, pretty much everybody has upgraded to Windows 10 as of right now, so, yeah, which kind of sucks in my opinion, but anyways, let's go ahead and see how usable is Windows 7 in 2019. Let's go ahead and power this virtual machine on, and support for this operating system will end early 2020, which is early next year, so let's go ahead and power it on. And I don't think it shouldn't take that long to boot, just because I had 1 GB of virtual machine RAM, and yeah, it should kind of boot up a little faster, especially because this is running in a virtual machine. Kind of because it's going a little too slow on startup. I'm not going to pause right here because of the Windows 7 startup sound, which you're going to hear in just a moment, as Windows 7 goes right directly to the desktop. So yeah, I miss that startup screen like that nowadays. Nowadays in Windows 10 it's just a little too simplified. So here we are, welcome screen. And the famous Windows 7 startup sound. And basically it's the exact same startup sound Windows Vista had. But yeah, basically they both have the exact same startup sound. But by default, Windows 8 did not have a startup sound enabled by default, meaning that you have to go to the sound preferences and manually turn it on. Same thing with Windows 10, so you have to do that manually, but I prefer keeping mine off. So anyway, that's just my personal preference. So right here, as we head to the start menu, as you can see, it looks pretty similar to Windows Vista, except the only difference is that the shutdown button is a single button rather than 2 options in Windows Vista. But you can still get to the rest of the power options by this little context menu, and by this little menu right here, by hovering over the arrow or clicking on the arrow. So as you can see, as we get to all programs, they look pretty. Yeah, it does not come with that much programs, by the way. Windows Vista included a lot of programs like a built-in mail client, built-in movie maker, etc. But Windows 7 for some reason did not include any of that stuff, meaning that you had to download it via Windows Essentials 2012, but you can't download that from Microsoft's website anymore, so which means that you have, as of right now, you have to download that from a third-party website, which I did anyway. So, and as you can see, as we get to the programs, and first of all, we got Notepad. It basically looks the exact same UI look as Windows 10 and basically every Windows version ever. Yeah, except the menu bar UI scheme is a little different to Windows 10. Windows 10's menu bar UI scheme is a lot more flat than the glossy one in this operating system. So, let's open a few programs like Paint, Calculator, WordPad, and what's next? Snipping tool. Let's open a lot of this stuff. Internet Explorer, we can open that. DVD Maker, open that as well. So as you can see, let's get to Paint first. Now here it is. It's completely redesigned to use the ribbon UI, and yeah, basically this UI scheme looks different to Windows 10. Windows 7 has a much more glossier look than Windows 10 or 8.1, because both 8.1 and 10 have a flatter look. But except these controls these controls, they remain glossy anyway. But it looks the UI scheme looks different in Windows 10. Alright, up next we have is DVD Maker, and it looks exactly the same in Windows Vista, except it's kind of a little bit different with the new icon, and this area right here with the UI scheme looks pretty different. Then we have Internet Explorer 8, and as you can see, it came with Windows 7 by default, but you can upgrade it to IE 11, which is the latest and greatest IE version ever. As you can see, it's an old browser because it's from 2009, so even though a lot of websites don't work with this browser anymore. So, and we're just gonna close out of that, and we have Snipping Tool. So yeah, basically this is the snipping tool, and this is one of the most popular features in the operating system since Windows Vista. But the old snipping tool is being phased out in Windows 10 for a universal one. And the calculator app in Windows 10 with the later builds, it was completely redesigned to match the universal app family. And we have WordPad. It's also redesigned for the Ribbon UI, and it makes it kind of looks like a built-in a Microsoft Word application by default. Well, except it doesn't have all those fancy features that Word actually have, but it's just there for you if you want to write scripts or all that stuff. And yeah, the UI scheme looks different to Windows 10. Windows 10 has a much flatter one. Now let's get to Windows Media Player. This is running Media Player 12. So, which is the highest version you can get to. Yep, copyright 2009. So yeah, basically it's still a modern version, kind of because of the outdated UI, and basically it's being replaced by the Movies and TVs app, which has a much more modern UI. So this program is getting replaced by Movies and TVs in Windows 10. So yeah, basically in the future build. So now let's see, the File Explorer. It looks pretty redesigned to make sure it's a much easier user experience. So as you can see, it has triangles and all that stuff that came from Windows Vista. Yep, and it has libraries that Windows Vista used to have, but they tried to put the libraries in Windows Vista got scrapped anyway because I think they had technical difficulties of getting the libraries to work in Windows Vista, so they had to scrap that. But they were able to get it to work in Windows 7. Even Windows 10 has it as well, but you have to turn that on manually, so it's not enabled by default. Let's get to the gadgets, my favorite part. So as you can see, it comes with over 9 gadgets. So we have clock, calendar, CPU meter. In my opinion, CPU meter is the best one because it keeps track of all my resources, like my processor and RAM. The clock tells you what time. Calendar, a Windows Media Player gadget. This is an interesting one. It looks kind of weird, but it still gives you a shortcut to Windows Media Center. Then we have Picture Puzzle, which nobody is going to figure out by default. And basically, gadgets is my favorite part of the operating system, but I don't have it on my desktop anyway. Unlike in Windows Vista, the gadgets are not attached to the sidebar, so which means that it lets users to position the gadgets wherever they want. And even as well, all the gadgets were pretty okay, but they got completely removed in the final build of Windows 8 because due to quote-unquote security reasons. Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and show you what the themes came with Windows 7. So by default, it came with the Aero UI as soon as you install it. If it's a pretty old computer, then it's not enabled by default because of graphics card reasons. Because yeah, basically, if your computer has a capable graphics card, then it should run Windows Aero. So yeah, even though unlike Windows Vista, I think Windows Aero was enabled by default as soon as you finished installing Windows 7. But there's also a Windows Basic option if you want a little bit of extra performance, or if you don't like the transparency effects. So yeah, basically it's still included in case you want it. And we have Windows Classic if you want the look and feel of the retro Windows operating system from Windows 2000. So it looks pretty nostalgic. And there's the contrast themes. Turn it back to the default Aero. And there's also slideshows with the same thing, except the sounds. There's much more sounds included in the operating system. There's also a default option if you want, but oh well, yeah, that's a lot of sounds you get. And they also came with matching slideshows of the Aero UI and slideshows, basically, yeah. Now I'm changing that to the default. Yep. Basically, there's also, you can create your own themes if you modify some. Oops. And then you also got ease of access stuff, maintenance stuff, remote assistance. Nobody's gonna use that. Games. Okay, so yeah, it comes with 11 games by default, but you can also download the games. In Windows 8, it used to have, yeah, basically in Windows 8, especially I think in the beta builds where all the games were removed, so which means that you have to download games. Same thing with Windows 10, kind of because of the Solitaire app that came with Windows 10. Who's gonna play that anyway? Which basically everybody uses Steam. So and you got sound recorder, math input panel, command prompt. Well, basically it looks exactly the same thing, except the font looked a little bit different in Windows 10. And then, of course, we're just gonna go ahead. Windows PowerShell, I'm gonna open that in just a moment, just to take a look at a lot of this stuff. Narrator, Windows speech recognition, and yeah, basically that's what you get. And then PowerShell, I'm gonna open that. There's also an x86 version if you're running 64-bit. And then we got the control panel. Now, of course, I have the category view enabled by default. However, to me, I always like this large or small icons where you can view all the settings at once. So, easy access to all the settings across the OS. So yes, that's just my personal preference, but I'm changing that to the default style. Here's PowerShell. And yeah, basically yeah, this is how it looks like in Windows 7. I don't know why there's a scroll bar right there, but oh well. And all the icons look different in Windows 7. So yeah, in Windows 7, you know, some of them, because Windows Vista had a little bit of greenish ones. Windows 7's a little bit different for a sky blue look for some of the icons, but some of them look the same, some of them look different. So let's get to Internet Explorer to see how web browsing looks like. So let's go ahead and okay, so if you go to sites like Google, it will still load just fine. However, if you try to go to YouTube.com, it'll still load. It's gonna be an old version. It doesn't load as good as in a modern browser. And especially it's good when you try to open it for the first time, it prompts you with the browser no longer supported message. And that's because they dropped support for this browser back in 2014 or 16, I think. But let's try Yahoo. And Yahoo works just fine. It still works just fine. However, if you try to go to I don't know if you try to let me do something different. Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and it's trying to check to see if it's recording. Let's try to open my my old web page. And it loads. So basically it loads just as fine. And we're just gonna go ahead and check the Windows tab, and it looks just as fine. And basically to YouTube. I'm just gonna open up, I don't know, just to get access to my channel, to just check out other links. I'm back, and I just found my channel. So yeah, basically it looks pretty messed up compared to the modern one. So yeah, basically let's check out other stuff to my channel. Like for example, to my main site, Discord, Twitter. Let's open my main site. It opens a new window for some reason. It still loads, but it's completely ruined. It looks like it looks so messed up compared to the modern one. If you open a Twitch site, it's not gonna load. Twitter, it will not load. Oh, never mind. It shows the mobile version. Wow, look at all this. Internet Explorer. Wow, look at this. It's so interesting. Google Plus, which as of right now, it's still up, but it's not gonna load. It's not gonna redirect me. But so even though as this video, it's still up, but it's shutting down right now. Even Discord doesn't load. Never mind. Yeah, you know, it's gonna show me a blank page if it loads. Not gonna do anything. So, basically, yeah, it's pretty much what browsing on this browser looks like. I'll try other websites. Alright, so only a few websites I've tried, they work, but nothing would load when it comes to Flash usability. Yeah, even though the other stuff uses Flash don't work, so yeah. Other than that, so we're not talking mostly about web browsers. So, is Windows 7 usable in 2019? Yes and no. Yes, if you want to if you're browsing the web or using Paint, Notepad, or etc. But no, if you want to run the latest and greatest versions of Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, and because Windows 7 will not support any of that. And pretty much Windows 10 is the operating system where you should upgrade as of right now. It is because it where features offer support when it comes to applications, but for application support, when it comes to with Windows 7 support, that's a big NO. So, yeah, basically, after this year, I wouldn't plan to run Windows 7 at all. If you can right now, get off of Windows 7 and upgrade to either Windows 10 or 8.1. So yeah, and even Windows 8.1 support is going to end pretty quickly when it comes to applications, because none of the applications because due to Windows 8.1 support is not that popular at all. So basically, this video is gonna get too lengthy, so I'll shut the operating system down. And yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, and links to other stuff in the description, like my website and my Discord server is worth joining. And I'll see you in the next video.